Hi, I'm Liz Montague. I'm a New Yorker cartoonist, and today we're going to talk about how to draw social change. The first cartoon I sold to the magazine was Per My Last Email, and it features these two women on a roof with a stat signal that says Per My Last Email, shooting into the sky. And then the caption is, "We've done all we can, it's out of our hands now." Some funny office humor.
It's an interesting cartoon and one that I love because in some ways it's like highly relatable.
I was like 22 years old working my first office job. I would have to write these 3-paragraph long, beautifully thought out things, and then I would get a 1-sentence response maybe.
There's sort of something going on that's a little more subtle in terms of talking about society and social commentary.
It was super important to me to put Black women in the role as main characters of this cartoon and to just show their perspective, highlighting that in the workplace a lot of Black women aren't really heard, and this idea of having to repeat yourself, why is that? What are the social norms behind that? And just slightly diving into that.
In this composition, where did you actually start the drawing?
So I first do a really rough sketch that's pencil on like a Post-it note or a scrap piece of paper, get where the elements are, get that triangle composition down. And then I'll start filling in the forms and everything, and I'll start doing line drawings of it, maybe start filling in some colors and really clean it up.
Triangle composition is just bringing the eye along 3 points in a composition. It's a nice starting point. Blank pages are really, really intimidating. And knowing, okay, I have at least this rough idea, it helps to feel like, okay, there's a bit of a roadmap. So for Per My Last Email, the 3 points of the triangle are the light, that's like shining the light out, that then goes up to Per My Last Email, and then goes down to the 2 women. So together, those 3 points make a little triangle.
So the next cartoon features a young girl with her stuffed animal leaning against some throw pillows, intently reading a book called How to Teach Your Parents Sustainability. One of the things about your sort of character design is that you draw a lot of kids. The characters are often simply rendered, very sweet, which I think creates an even more jarring juxtaposition and hilarious juxtaposition with the major themes you're tackling.
The sweet entry point is super intentional. Even having them really simply rendered, I purposely make the characters look very one-dimensional, a little bit flattish. But a regular person could be like, I could draw that.
I love in this cartoon how the character, you're saying, it's very flat, very simply rendered, but the stuffed animal is so 3D and huggable.
You need that comfort in there so that it's a digestible topic. I actually spent a lot of time on that stuffed animal. I remember that. I was watching Gilmore Girls or something and went through 2 episodes doing that.
You've said that you give yourself time limits to draw a draft of a cartoon. 2 Gilmore Girls episodes, is that that's on the far end of
This is definitely a long one. Usually I do I try to cap it at 30 minutes because I will just pick and pick and pick and pick. If I didn't have a time constraint and I didn't have a style that was easily manageable for me, I don't know how consistently I could be creating cartoons.
I draw all my characters pretty much the same way. The head shape is a U, basically. And then I do really curly hair that is just a bunch of curved lines on top of each other. The ear is a little half circle, a little C shape with a swirly inside that kind of looks like a G. And then for the nose, it's pretty much like a sideways 3 with 2 little parentheses on either side and then 1 long parenthesis at the top. The mouth, sometimes they're really small, sometimes it's wider. Then I have 2 little lines, kind of parenthesis-like shapes to show lips. The eyes are always pretty small. For cartoon eyes, pretty small. And then the eyebrows are always really simple, just really simple lines. And then based on the emotion, the dialogue, I either make them bigger or smaller. Eyebrow placement shows a lot of emotion.
So for this cartoon, there are 2 women sitting at a table in the kitchen. One person is drawing a Black Lives Matter sign, another one is holding a cup of tea, and there are some I can't breathe buttons on the table, and they're both looking at a phone that's getting all these notifications. And the caption is, "Just ignore it. My white friends keep checking in on me because they think racism is new."
Do you remember what was happening specifically in the news the sort of like day before you submitted this?
Yeah, the George Floyd murder was like very huge. People were protesting that a lot. Even here in Philadelphia, there are a lot of protests. I went to. Police brutality is not a new thing at all in the Black community. But I guess that happening in the middle of a pandemic when so many Black people especially were already dying at higher rates than anyone else. And it was just, yeah, that was a wild time.
Yeah, I remember when you submitted this cartoon, the like body of the email was just like, I'm so tired. I don't have any words.
You know, I do have the ability to submit cartoons to the New Yorker, which is, you know, a huge readership of people who otherwise wouldn't probably listen to me on the street or something like that. And it was just like really important to me to utilize that. I thought about it for a long time. I was just trying to figure out, okay, how do I make sure I'm taking care of myself and my own needs of what I need right now, while also fulfilling what kind of feels like a responsibility of mine to be a voice in this place.
For the White Friends Checking In cartoon, the environment is actually set in my parents' kitchen. That's what I based the background on. I like drew the background and the placement of the characters and then walked away trying to figure out how I was going to tackle this very big thing. I knew I wanted to get something that was like Black healing related, which is why I have one of the characters holding a cup of tea. And I wanted to make sure that I got in the Black Lives Matter and the I Can't Breathe. I really wanted to try to tackle what I was experiencing as a Black person in society right now. Just try to distill that moment into a single cartoon, which was pretty freaking hard. But I guess I tackle things through accessibility. I try to create really accessible environments, really accessible, familiar feeling characters, meeting people where they're at, you know, like a little olive branch, a visual olive branch, something familiar. I mean, that's what all people want, is something familiar, I guess.